It was the 911 call that would unravel a web of lies, a panicked report of a little girl choking on a breakfast sandwich. But the truth waiting for detectives at that Bellingham home was far more sinister than anyone could imagine. The evidence would soon reveal not a tragic accident, but a months-long nightmare of systematic torture, all carefully hidden behind the facade of a happy family. This is a story that would shake a community to its core and expose catastrophic failures in the very system designed to protect the most vulnerable. Welcome to Life in Frames. This is the heartbreaking story of 3-year-old Hazel Homan, a story that begins not with her tragic death in November 2019, but with a series of systemic failures that would ultimately cost this innocent child her life. Hazel's early life was marked by instability and trauma. After a violent domestic incident between her parents in November 2017, she found refuge in the one place she was truly safe, the loving home of her paternal grandparents. For nearly 2 years, she thrived in their care, surrounded by stability and affection. But in a decision that would prove fatal, the Washington State Department of Children, Youth and Families made the catastrophic choice to return her to the custody of her father, Brandon Homan, in the summer of 2019. That's when Kami Dixon, Brandon's girlfriend, entered the picture and became Hazel's primary caregiver while Brandon worked. What followed was a 5-month nightmare of unimaginable cruelty. The abuse began almost immediately after Hazel was placed in their care. In August 2019, while babysitting, Hazel's aunt noticed something that made her blood run cold: suspicious bruising patterns across the child's body and, most horrifyingly, a distinct circular burn mark on her skin, the unmistakable imprint of a cigarette. She immediately documented the evidence with photographs, creating a crucial record that would later become evidence in court. The torture only escalated. A family friend witnessed Hazel being punished for wetting herself by being forced to stand under a freezing cold shower. In early October, Hazel suffered a second-degree burn on her hand that went untreated for 11 agonizing days, a period during which she endured constant pain without medical attention or comfort. Just weeks later, she returned to the doctor with a severe chemical alkaline burn to her eye, another injury that raised alarms but somehow failed to trigger proper intervention. The system designed to protect children like Hazel failed at every turn. Despite DCYF being mandated to conduct 11 well-child check-ins over those critical 5 months, every single warning sign was missed. Critical documentation was lost or ignored. Her extended family, who would have moved heaven and earth to save her, was kept deliberately in the dark by confidentiality policies that prioritized bureaucracy over a child's safety. Hazel was utterly alone in her suffering, trapped in a home that had become her prison and torture chamber. The final act of this tragedy began on the morning of November 27, 2019. Kami Dixon's frantic 911 call claimed Hazel was choking on food, but when paramedics arrived, they encountered a scene that didn't add up. The child's body temperature had plummeted to a life-threatening 86 degrees Fahrenheit, a clear indicator of prolonged neglect. At St. Joseph's Emergency Department, doctors immediately recognized that this was no choking incident. Their diagnosis was horrifying and unambiguous. Hazel was suffering from a catastrophic brain bleed with bilateral subdural hemorrhages consistent with violent shaken baby syndrome. The injuries, medical experts would later testify, were inflicted very shortly before she lost consciousness that morning. For 3 agonizing days, Hazel's family maintained vigil at Harborview Medical Center, praying for a miracle that would never come. On November 30, 2019, Hazel Homan was declared brain dead. She was kept on life support until December 4th so her organs could be donated, her final, beautiful act of compassion that would save 3 other lives even as hers was stolen from her. The autopsy conducted by the King County Medical Examiner would reveal the full, horrifying scope of the abuse Hazel had endured. The examination documented 50 distinct injuries on her tiny body, all in various stages of healing. Multiple broken bones, ribs, skull, legs, and fingers spoke to months of systematic violence rather than isolated incidents. The medical examiner's ruling was unequivocal: homicide. The trial that unfolded in 2022 became a battle between two competing narratives. The defense, attempting to explain away the overwhelming evidence, argued that Hazel's death was a tragic accident caused by choking. They suggested that a vitamin D deficiency had made her bones unusually brittle and presented carefully selected happy videos showing Hazel and Dixon together, creating an illusion of normalcy and care. But Chief Criminal Deputy Prosecutor Eric Sigmar systematically dismantled this fiction piece by piece. He presented the photographs of the cigarette burn. He described the cruel punishment of cold showers. He laid bare the pattern of neglected medical care for her burns. Holding up the medical evidence documenting 50 separate injuries, he challenged the jury. The defense would have you believe that the head trauma is just a coincidence, that multiple bruises, just a coincidence, 50 blows, just a coincidence. After careful deliberation, the jury saw through the deception. On June 30th, 2022, they delivered a landmark verdict. Camille Dixon was found guilty of homicide by abuse. She became the first person in Whatcom County history to be convicted on this charge. On August 2nd, she was sentenced to 34 years in prison, a measure of justice, however inadequate for the unimaginable suffering she had inflicted. But Hazel's story doesn't end with a verdict or a prison sentence. Her death ignited an undeniable fire in her family and community. Her aunt, Ashley Bartell, wrote powerfully about Hazel's legacy. What the enemy brought for evil, God was still able to deliver miracles. It started an undeniable fire and passion in my soul to be her voice. Today, Hazel's silenced voice has become a rallying cry for systemic reform. Her story has exposed gaping flaws in our child protection systems and sparked urgent calls for change. Though her life was brutally cut short, her memory now fuels the fight to ensure that no other child has to suffer in the dark, behind closed doors, while the world outside remains unaware of their cries for help. Hazel Journey. Homan's name has become synonymous with both unimaginable tragedy and the relentless pursuit of justice for the most vulnerable among us. So, what do you think? After hearing all the evidence, the 50 injuries, the broken bones at various stages of healing, the cigarette burn, the cold shower punishments, the untreated injuries, was Hazel's death a tragic accident, or was it murder? We want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you're moved by this story and want to see more true crime investigations that seek justice for the victims, please show your support by subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell icon so you never miss a story. Together, we can keep these important conversations going and honor the memories of those who can no longer speak for themselves.